Crime in Court. My name is Heather, and I'm here for part 5 of the Frank's Memorandum reading. And we're just going to pick up where we left off last time. I'm trying to get through these because we're already on part 5, and we're only on page 55. So let's get through it. There's so much to go. All right, so Brad Holder, this is the juicy part too. This is where it's getting to be like, this is the theory, this is what the defense dug up in their investigation. So, Brad Holder's connection to the crime scene. Brad Holder's son, Logan Holder, was dating Abby Williams at the time of the Un-Alivings. Nobody denies this fact. Amber Holder, for example, discusses this fact on page 9 of the Odin report. Exhibit 37 is a document memorializing the only known interview of Brad Holder concerning the Delphi Un-Alivings, at least through August 30th, 2023. In this document, it is learned Brad Holder details that he was usually in Delphi every weekend visiting his friend Patrick Westfall and attending asatru religious ceremonies of Patrick Westfall's house, usually on Sundays. Asatru is interchangeable with the word Odinism. So whenever they say that, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a type of Odinism, I believe. So Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder had been friends prior to the Un-Alivings of Abby and Libby. In fact, Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder were found in a photograph together as late as January 21st, 2017, so a month before the Un-Alivings. Find attached a copy of said photo. Marked as Exhibit 38, Murphy noted on page 11 of the Odin report that Westfall appears 10 times in pictures that Holder posts on Facebook prior to the day that Abby and Libby went missing and were likely unalived the same day or that evening. We don't know, that morning. They might have been taken somewhere and then something was done at night. That's my feeling, is that they were taken captive and held somewhere until a bunch of Odinites showed up and did this ritual at like probably 3 in the morning, because it's usually like a 3 in the morning type of thing. All right. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a likely theory? Do you think they were taken and they were unalived right away? What do you guys think? I'm interested to know your theory on what happened that day. So anyways, however, after February 13th, Westfall does not appear in any of Holder's posed photos. Remember, we talked about Westfall, I think it was in part 2 or 3, Westfall and Holder, and how they might have, they definitely have Odinist ties, and they might have had a falling out. And one of them said something about something happened and it scared the other, so they don't talk anymore, or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quote, but yeah, they had a falling out. So what happened to this friendship of Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall? Amber Holder tells a very disturbing story. So the wife of Brad Holder. As can be viewed on page 9 in the Odin report, Amber told law enforcement the following. She, Amber, said that Brad spoke of Patrick one time when he was intoxicated and said that he and Patrick got into a fight and they no longer speak to each other. He told her that he and Westfall were in the woods near a river conducting a ritual. Okay, I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than that. So, and you know they're Odinists. So they were conducting a ritual in the woods at some point in time. One of them said or did something that the other did not agree with, and they no longer talked to each other. She said the river was near Patrick's house. Note, so maybe the girls were taken to Patrick's house and held there until All their Odinist friends came for the night's festivities. Note, Brad has a Facebook post with him and Patrick together on January 21st, 2017. So less than a month before the unalivings of Libby and Abby. Patrick Westfall was living in Delphi at the time. Find attached, whatever, marked 39 and filed as confidential. This document is the narrative report of what is believed to be the only interview police conducted with Patrick Westfall. So let's look at what we missed here. So just like Holder's videotaped interview, as of the date of the filing of this memorandum, the prosecutor still, sorry, I'll move it up here. The prosecutor still has not turned over the Westfall videotape interview. The defense only has a narrative. Sorry, my dog's getting up again. Only has a narrative that allegedly memorializes Westfall's interview. So we don't have the video, just someone's interpretation of what Westfall's interview was. The defense has requested both Holder's and Westfall's videotaped interviews. Westfall was living at the time. Wait, did I miss something? Oh, the addresses where Westfall was living at the time was 3.1 miles, or roughly a 7-minute drive to the cemetery, which is the closest entry point to where the girls were found. 68, find attached copy of Google Maps showing pins dropped at Westfall's address and close to where the girls were found. So they gave them an exhibit of where the proximity of Patrick Westfall's house to where the girls were found, which is fairly close. As we know from Exhibit 37 attached to the memorandum, Brad Holder admitted that he, Holder, spent every weekend hanging out with his friend Patrick Westfall in Delphi and participated in asatru religious ceremonies on Sunday with Patrick Westfall. The girls were abducted on Monday, February 13th, 2017. Patrick Westfall appeared to no longer be friends after February 13th, 2017 with Holder. So they're trying to prove here the timeline that their friendships, whatever it was, that statement by Amber Holder, which is very telling, that Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder are no longer friends. They're holding on to that quote from her and proving that, they stopped talking right around the time when this happened to the girls. So defense is unaware as to whether law enforcement were even mildly curious enough to seek Brad Holder or Patrick Westfall out to ask them about the explosive information Amber told police about an argument over a ritual gone bad in the woods sometime in February 2017. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than that. Additionally, Richard Allen's defense team is unaware whether law enforcement sought a search warrant for Brad Holder's or Patrick's homes. So were these two searched? How deeply were they looked into? What cleared them so fast? Like what was the information that made you clear them so quickly? Because usually law enforcement doesn't clear anyone until they have their suspects in their hands. So usually they don't clear people. So why them? Amber Holder tells a second and equally disturbing story. When interviewed a second time, Amber discussed another conversation Amber, had with Brad Holder. She had gone to Brad Holder's house to visit him. While the children were upstairs, Amber, inquired about Patrick Westfall under the ruse that Amber's girlfriend had a date with Patrick. So while the children were upstairs, Amber inquired about Patrick Westfall under the ruse that Amber's girlfriend had a date with Patrick. So she's pretending like, oh, my friend has a date with Patrick. So she starts inquiring about who he is. Is he a good guy? Should she date him? What's up with Patrick? So this is what is contained on page 10 of the Odin report. Brad became very nervous and told her that she needed to stay away from Westfall or she would end up unalive. She said that Brad told her Westfall and his crew were responsible for the unalivings of the girls in Delphi and a fire that unalived 2 other girls. I asked her, and there is another, there are Flora fires, which may or may not have some kind of connection to Delphi. They might have been talking about that, the Flora girls, which a bunch of young girls alone in a house were basically left in there to burn to their ends. It's very sad. I think there were 4 girls. So, oh, it does say 4 girls. So a fire that unalived 2 girls. I asked her if she knew of the fires in Flora that unalived 4 girls, and she said she was not familiar with any fires that unalived any children until Brad mentioned it today. She said Brad may have been talking about the fire, but had the number of people wrong. She said Brad told her that Westfall and his crew had friends in several states and that they have no problem unaliving race traders, as they put it. I asked her to clarify a race trader, and she said she believed it meant white people who, quote, mix with other races. Amber said that Brad told her that Westfall belonged to a group called the Vinlanders and 22. Brad told her that Westfall had many people backing him up and powerful friends, and they highlighted that in emphasis. She said that Brad was very nervous while telling her these things and was whispering like he was fearful someone else would hear them. She said that throughout the conversation, Brad was constantly telling her to stay away from Westfall. He also told her that Patrick had unalived a lot of people and it didn't matter if they were innocent or not. Amber truly believes Brad is scared of Westfall. Prior to Amber leaving, she said that Brad told her to stay off Westfall's radar, and I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions. Wow. All right. He also told her that if Westfall found out I was married to him, that she would be in danger. So if Westfall knew Brad Holder and Amber were married, then Westfall might come after Amber. Brad also questioned her on why Westfall would be going on a date with that was under the impression that Westfall was married or engaged to someone. So she was just making it up, trying to find out, I think, more information about Patrick. But it's interesting. That's kind of clever for her. Imagine being an investigator trying to solve a horrible unaliving, having learned all this information. What would a good investigator do? What would you do finding this out? You would try to get to the bottom of it. You would try to seek more information. What would good leadership in the form of unified command do with this information? We would ask the court to think about all the tools that law enforcement had in its arsenal to pursue an investigation once these explosive stories were told. It doesn't appear that unified command did anything. The question then may be, did they, including Liggett, want to do anything to investigate the Odinists? Why didn't they want to? Was Unified Command and Tony Liggett, a member of Unified Command, acting intentionally or recklessly in the way it conducted the investigation? And by extension, was Liggett acting intentionally or recklessly in concealing this information from Diner in his affidavit for search warrant? What else linked Holder to the crime? On April 7, 2017, Holder posted a photo of a hand marked with the exact rune found on Abby's body. Attached and marked as Exhibit 41 is a Facebook post that displays Brad Holder's hand. The photo displays Brad Holder showing off a rune that was inked onto his hand, not a tattoo, but likely from an ink pen. This rune that Brad Holder is proudly showing off is the same rune that the Un-Alivers laid on top of Abby's body using sticks. This image was posted by Brad Holder approximately 52 days after the Un-Alivings. The public had no idea what the crime scene looked like and that Abby had sticks placed on her like the Hegel rune. Oh, okay, so it has a name. They've identified it. It's the Hegel rune. I'll have to look into that and see what that means. Yet, Brad Holder coincidentally was showing off the same rune that was found on Abby. Interesting. That should be important information for curious, honest, and well-intentioned law enforcement officers. It certainly makes me suspicious. It makes me curious and want to know more about Brad Holder. Why did law enforcement not want to? Honest Trooper Murphy admitted that the image of the rune drawn on Holder's hand was similar in appearance to the rune found on Abby's body. All right, let's see. This is from a depot. Find attached a side-by-side image of that rune that Brad Holder drew on his hand next to Abby's crime scene photo marked as Exhibit 42 and filed as confidential. That's why it's filed as confidential. We don't see the exhibits here. The other ones might be public now, but they're not attached to this, unfortunately. All right, so Trooper Holman, on the other hand, refused to admit that the two images on Exhibit 42 look similar. Quote, I mean, it's a stretch that you could say that's the exact same formation, is what Holman said when comparing the two. So he's denying any kind of correlation. But the fact that there's runes on the girls and these two have runes all over their Facebook and hands and whatnot, it just makes you think, makes you wonder, especially since Abby was dating Logan. All right, by admitting that these images match or look like each other, Holman would then have to be admitting that Holder should have been a suspect because the rune on Holder's hand matched the rune found on Abby's body when the details of the crime scene were not known to the public. So, yeah. I was going to say something and now I forgot. My brain's in two different places at the time, sorry. I was going to say something about the runes. All right, it'll come to me, hopefully. That is why Honest Cop Murphy admitted the obvious, that the two images look alike. But Holman refuses to admit the obvious. Holman has hitched his wagon to Richard Allen's guilt and can't consider any other candidate and certainly cannot concede that Unified Command's investigation has been a shameful embarrassment. More shots fired. Love it. All right, so therefore, Holman has to continue the charade of proclaiming that the two images contained in Exhibit 42 don't look similar, whether he actually believes it or not. Damn. What's up, Holman? Why are you trying to deny that they look the same? However, while Holman cannot admit that the two images on Exhibit 42 look like one another, Holman, is the same person that claimed that only minor differences exist between Sketch 1 and Sketch 2. Seriously? The police sketches? There's only minor differences between the two? Let's go to it. I had it up just in case we needed to look at my slides from last time. Okay, come on. Just being slow and not loading. Come on. Remember we went through these slides in the last episode, episode 4. We went through some pictures, some depictions of the runes and things like that. And here I had put the side by side of all three, Richard Allen and then Sketch 1 and Sketch 2. This one came out first, the July 2017. obviously looks nothing like this April 2019. It's a second individual. If you ask me, completely different individual. This person has facial hair and a hat. This person does not. His hair is kind of curly. This person's hair is a little longer and wispy. So, and then Richard Allen is bald and has I don't know what that's called. Is there a special name for that? I mean, it's a goatee, but then it's like long, it's grown out. What's a grown out goatee called? If anybody knows, let me know because I would like to know if there's a name for that. Anyways, so that this person, Holman, right? We're talking Holman. Yeah, said that there's not a difference between sketches 1 and 2 that I just showed you. 1 and 2. I think they're very different. Even in age, they're different. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. If you have eyes, they're very different. As you will learn later in the memorandum, Sarah Carbow claims to have observed a man walking down the road with mud on his clothing around 3:57 p.m. on the day of the Un-Alivings. The man she observed turned into sketch 1. So this Sarah Carbow created sketch 1 with the police based on some guy that had muddy clothing. According to Holman, sketch 1 is the unaliver, Richard Allen. Again, I claim that he does not look like this guy at all. Their noses are completely different. Their eyes are different. Everything's different. I mean, the only thing that's sort of the same is that they both have facial hair. But it's different facial hair. So I don't even know how you can claim that those are the same people. I don't see it. So the man she observed turned into sketch 1. According to Holman, sketch 1 is the unaliver, Richard Allen. You will also learn later in the memorandum that Betsy Blair observed a man on High Bridge around 2 p.m. The man she observed turned into sketch 2. According to Holman, this man is also the unaliver. So then there's 2 people, or the person they can change their looks. It's one of those kinds of people. They can just change their looks really easily. I have no idea. All right, so later you will learn that for Liggett's and Holman's timeline to work, sketch 1 and sketch 2 need to represent the same exact person, Richard Allen. Sketch 1 is attached as Exhibit 105. Sketch 2 is attached as Exhibit 103. We would ask you, Judge, to take those exhibits out and to please look at them. Those 2 exhibits, according to Holman, are the same person, Richard Allen, and they need to be the same person in order to support Holman's timeline. Yet Holman will not admit the obvious that the men represented in these sketches look nothing like each other, nor like Richard Allen. Needing them to be the same man, Holman testified under oath that only minor differences exist between sketch 1 and sketch 2. What do you guys think about that? I disagree. This is how entrenched Holman is in his position that Richard Allen is guilty. He can't even admit the obvious. To further demonstrate the ridiculousness of Holman's alleged belief that, except for minor differences, sketch 1 and sketch 2 look alike, let's look at what Tobe Lesenby said about sketch 1 and sketch 2. In his sworn statement, Tobe Lesenby stated that sketch 1 and sketch 2 are in fact 2 different men. So that's according to Lesenby's depo. So how are you guys? You guys are on 2 different pages here. Which is it? All right. So while Richard Allen sits in a prison waiting for full disclosure of all evidence in the state's possession, the current sheriff and former sheriff, so Lesenby and Liggett's the current sheriff. He just recently was elected. It's an elected position, and it happened to be just right before, or Richard Allen happened to be arrested just a few days, like 20 something days before the election happened. So it could possibly be tied with something political. We don't know. So while Richard Allen sits in a prison waiting for full disclosure of all evidence in the state's possession, the current sheriff and former sheriff can't even keep their story straight as to how many men were involved and whether Sketch 1 and Sketch 2 represent the same man, Richard Allen, as Holman claims, or different men, Richard Allen and someone else, as Lesenby claims. So even if they're, okay, so Lesenby, let's take that. You claim that there's two people. Let's pretend it's, there's two different sketches. Why are you not going after that second person? Isn't that second person a suspect? Shouldn't they be, wouldn't you think that that other person needs to be identified and looked into? Or we're just going to pretend like he didn't exist? I guess that's what we're doing. He didn't exist. Or he's the same person. It's ridiculous, these excuses. Well, Holman will not agree that Brad Holder's Facebook had hand rune. While Holman will not agree that Brad Holder's Facebook hand rune resembles the stick formation found on Abby's body, because that promotes Brad Holder as a suspect. At the same time, Holman will tell you that Sketch 1 and Sketch 2 look alike with only minor differences, because that promotes Richard Allen as the suspect. How far was Holman willing to stretch this incredible claim? When Holman was asked which resembles each other more, Sketch 1 or Sketch 2, or the two images found side by side in Exhibit 42, Holman claimed that Sketch 1 and Sketch 2 looked more alike to each other than the two images found in Exhibit 42 that look alike to each other. We ask the court the same question and see if you have the same answer as Holman. Please look at Sketch 1 and Sketch 2, then look at the side-by-side images. So the sticks placed on Abby and the rune that he drew on his hand is the Exhibit 42. Would you claim under oath that Sketch 1 and Sketch 2 look more like, or the two images? Okay. So the fact that Holman refuses under oath to admit the obvious truth should provide insight into whether Holman and his fellow Unified Command members, Tony Liggett, acted intentionally in concealing information from Judge Diener. All right, I'm going to take a water break. We need to keep the throat moist as we continue because it's getting dry here. I don't even know what to say right now. I mean, the excuses for these law enforcement officers, you're supposed to be able to identify details in investigations. And if you're saying that the two sketches look like the same person, you need glasses. Okay, anyways. Trooper Purdy and Trooper Winters were aware of an eerie image on Brad Holder's Facebook page of what appeared to be a faked unaliving scene mimicking Abby and Libby's unaliving scene, so their crime scene. When Trooper Purdy learned from Becky Hill, been doing Murdoch stuff too much. When Trooper Purdy learned from Becky Patty that Brad Holder was an Odinist, at least for a short period of time, he was curious about Brad Holder. This short time curiosity led to Purdy looking into Brad's Facebook page, where he, Purdy, found a very eerie photograph. Alright, what's the eerie photograph? Purdy discusses how he viewed this image on Holder's Facebook in his depot. Purdy, I'll just keep reading this. Purdy talks about the mimicked unaliving scene as just one piece of a puzzle because the image had been on Holder's Facebook page for as long as 4 or 5 years. It somewhat depressed the level of Winter's interest in his photograph. All right. Where did I leave off? However, even before, did I read this? When Trooper Purdy learned, why am I like totally blanking? When Trooper Purdy learned from Becky Patty that Brad Holder was an Odinist, at least for a short period of time, he was curious about Brad Holder. Um, this photograph is marked Exhibit 3. It shows, so the um, what photograph they're talking about. It shows two girls lying on what appears to be the ground of the forest. So this is the mimicked photo. Um, it shows two girls lying on what appears to be the ground of a forest. The girls either are unalive or pose as if they were unalive. The girls have tree limbs arranged over their bodies. The girl in the forefront of the photograph has her left arm and hand positioned very similarly to that of Libby's left arm and hand outstretched above her head. The defense has prepared a side-by-side photograph of the mimicked photograph compared with the crime scene photograph of Libby, which is marked Exhibit 44 and filed as confidential. Although both girls are dressed and the limbs on the girls are not arranged exactly like the limbs and sticks on Abby and Libby, the similarity of that photo found on Brad Holder's Facebook page is pronounced. Purdy did not think much of this photo in terms of it implicating Brad Holder. At least that is what he is now claiming in 2023. However, even before Purdy had found that disturbing image on Holder's Facebook page, a tipster had beat him to the punch by finding it much, much earlier. The contents of a February 16th, 2017 tip was written up in a report designated that number. I'm not reading that. This tip came in just 2 days after the girls were found. This tip said the following, quote, father of Logan Holder, comma, ex-boyfriend of Libby, social media shows him a member of Vinlanders, posts of half unalive women and fascination with gothic figures and symbols out of tree branches, end quote. So, I mean, and it says they're exes. So, ex-boyfriend of Libby. I thought she was dating Abby. I can't remember now. This is saying that he was Libby's ex-boyfriend. So if they're exes, that even goes more to show that, you know, maybe something went down. And I don't know if this has ever been proven or not, but there have been rumors in like YouTube content creators I've heard say that one of the girls like family members was dating someone of a different race, and that's why they were also targeted. So if Libby and Logan already broke up and they knew this about the family, they might, you know, if this anti-love group really wanted to like send a message. I don't know. Could be that they were trying to send a message to somebody. So this report shows that Liggett actually approved further investigation of Brad Holder based upon that tip. So they did look into him more, but why did it stop? So this very same disturbing image came to the attention of law enforcement a third time by way of a gentleman named Ryan Boucher from Georgia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry. So the tip was received by Trooper Joseph Winters on April 12th, 2017, and converted into a report. An unredacted copy of this report is attached and marked as Exhibit 46 and marked as confidential. The defense will hereinafter refer to the report as the Winters Report. So Ryan Boucher has also signed an affidavit detailing his failed attempts to gain the interest of Carroll County law enforcement concerning the information that Boucher discovered on Holder's social media accounts. Oof. That affidavit is attached and marked as Exhibit 47. Boucher's affidavit also details other aspects of the case discussed in this memorandum. As the affidavit details, Boucher talked directly to then Sheriff Tobe Lesenby about Boucher's findings. This conversation would have occurred sometime before Boucher's April 12th conversation with Trooper Winters. Lesenby told Boucher that Holder was not a suspect and quickly dispensed of the phone call as detailed in his affidavit. So he just said, nope, he's not a suspect, and got off the phone with him. Despite Lesenby's comments essentially telling Boucher that Holder has been eliminated as a suspect, Boucher was undeterred. Boucher felt something was off and called the state police post. As detailed in Winters' report, once Boucher provided his ID, Boucher then provided Winters pictures from Holder's media accounts depicting tree limbs on the ground displaying runes consistent with the Odin belief system. Then Winters wrote in the report that, quote, the provided media pictures show unknown young girls believed to be deceased with sticks placed over their bodies. The sticks across the females on Holder's media were believed to be symbols or runes. End quote. Winters report, page 2. So they knew. Law enforcement knew this angle and still chose not to pursue it. It should be noted that law enforcement has to this day still failed to turn over this mimicked photograph found on Holder's Facebook page. Fortunately, defense counsel was able to find Winters' report in the sea of evidence, and upon reading it, understood the potential importance of this photograph may have in terms of Holder's culpability in the murders. The only problem is that law enforcement had failed to produce it for the defense. Fortunately, through due diligence, the defense team located Boucher, drove to Georgia, and met with Boucher, who then was willing to provide the images to Richard's defense team and did in fact turn those images over to Richard's defense team. So they have those images. So sorry, prosecution, you tried to hide it from us, but we got it anyways. Even as recently as at his August 23rd, 2023 deposition, Winters stated that he was still unable to locate the images referenced in the Winters report that Boucher had provided Winters back on April 12, 2017. This means that if the defense team had not traveled to Georgia, the defense team, would still not be in the possession of the exculpatory piece of evidence, and also would not have been able to ask questions at depositions to law enforcement concerning these images. To this day, the state of Indiana has yet to turn over the images that Boucher provided Winters back in 2017. So the state of Indiana, the troopers, the law enforcement of Indiana refused to turn it over. Why? Is the law enforcement infiltrated with Odinists that can help hide evidence when you commit a crime? I don't know. When you commit your ritualistic sacrifices, you can have them hidden if you know high enough people ranking in the Odinist group. I don't know. Following his interaction with Boucher, as can be read in Winters' report, it was apparent that Trooper Winters' interest was piqued. The details surrounding the February 14th, 2017 crime scene was a well-guarded secret hidden from the public. Yet, somehow, Brad Holder, an Odinite whose son dated Abby Williams, Abby, I think they said the wrong girl up there, had one, an image on his Facebook page that closely resembled the crime scene, and two, appeared to have used an ink pen to draw a rune on his hand that mimicked the very rune that was found on Abby. Ugh. Okay. This is all, nobody here has been charged with a crime, indicted with a crime, other than Richard Allen. So at this point, all of this is a document by the defense trying to implicate the fact that other people could have been involved, not his client. So I think that's where we need to keep in mind that as we read this, these are all just allegations at this time. We don't have verified, proven facts at this point yet, other than, what we are reading and going on here. So both images are described in Winter's report. So what did Winters do when he realized that it appeared that Abby's boyfriend's dad, Brad Holder, appeared to know intimate details about a crime scene kept confidential from the public? He spoke with Jerry Holman, Winters' report. The information that Winters unearthed via Ryan Boucher was so impactful on Winters that he, Winters, remembers talking with Jerry Holman of Unified Command. Winters even recorded the following in his report. Quote, I spoke with Sergeant Holman on April 12, 2017. Sergeant Holman advised that FBI had interviewed Holder shortly at the beginning of the investigation. End quote. In his deposition, Winters provided this reasoning. Yeah, I think there's some substantial things that need to follow up on. Okay, yeah, so he had an inkling that something else, just the things weren't adding up right, so he knew there was more to it. In the same deposition, Winters also said that he wanted to make sure all the information I had captured in my time from that was passed on. And because I had just taken that information, I just wanted to make sure if I had no contact with anybody involved in this case again, that they were aware that I generated that supplement. Winters felt that the Boucher tip was important. He felt it was so important that he wanted to make sure someone followed up on the lead by, at a minimum, re-interviewing Brad Holder. Again, it should be noted that as of September 11th, 2023, the defense has still not received the February 17th, 2017 interview of Holder. Even the state of Indiana's most recent discovery dump, which occurred on September 8th, 2023, still did not contain Holder's February 17th interview. However, on September 8th, 2023, Rick's defense team learned something very interesting. On about September 4th, 2023, Trooper Holman finally followed up on Winters' request by finally re-interviewing Holder. It only took 5+ years. Snark! I love it. These attorneys are snarky. So the defense still has not received Holder's first interview from February 17th. We will see how long it takes for the state to turn over Holder's second interview from September 4th. More shade thrown at the prosecution. That's hilarious. All right. So if Holman did, in fact, re-interview Holder on September 4th, 2023, it should be noted that the interview came on the heels of the defense team's contentious August 10th, 2023 deposition of Holman. The defense asked Holman, are you going to fix these problems or are you going to actually look for the truth? His response, I'm going to look for the truth, but I think I've already found the truth. But I definitely will look into this, no doubt about it, and I will find out if we have done the follow-ups, and I don't know about it. And I will let Prosecutor McClellan know, and he can forward that information to you. All right. So the defense looks forward to watching the first Holder interview from February 2017, as well as the most recent Holder interview to see if Holman treated Holder as an actual suspect, a label befitting the strong evidence that connects him to the Un-Alivings, or if Holman's interview consists of softball questions lobbed at Holder with the purpose of fending off the defense rather than seeking the truth. I love it. All right, so Brad Holder created a creepy painting of a man believed to be Odin. hanging upside down from a tree from his legs posed, with his legs posed similar to Abby's. At the crime scene, this painting also contains 2 hidden Easter eggs, including a red F rune at the base of the tree, just like the F rune painted on the tree at the crime scene. So that's interesting, huh? Previously, the defense marked as Exhibits 32 and 33, these are the creepy images of the paintings that Holder created in February 2018. The image of a man hanging by his feet, Brad Holder, provided at least 2 Easter eggs in this painting for anyone following him on Facebook. The first Easter egg is another example showcasing Holder's knowledge of the hush-hush crime scene guarded from the general public. You will notice at the base of the tree is a rune painted blood red. The rune looks like the letter F, just like the letter F rune at the base at the crime scene painted at the tree using Libby's red DNA. The other Easter egg is the date that Brad Holder placed on the painting. In the lower right-hand corner of the painting, you will see that it looks like 217, and then some gibberish. It looks, therefore, like a month, February, and a year, 2017. Abby and Libby were slain in February 2017. Upon closer inspection, it appears that the date in the corner may be 2017-18. If so, the painting was drawn 1 year to the day that Brad Holder was interviewed by the police and then essentially dropped as a suspect. Is this just a fluke that Holder painted a red F at the base of this tree almost 1 year to the day that girls were slain when the crime scene was a guarded secret? It is just a fluke that the date, is it just a fluke that the date in the right-hand corner of the eerie painting shows 1217? Unified Command would probably say yes, just a coincidence. Nothing to see here. 2016, Brad Holder video from his Facebook page shows a pagan ritual with the most important part at the very end. A man that looks like Patrick Westphal appears to be using his fingers to paint a tree. Libby's red DNA was found on one of the trees at the crime scene in the form of an F that someone painted on the tree using their fingers or some type of utensil. We looked at it last time. Let's see if I can find it here. Here is a depiction from Court TV, how the F tree looked, and then they go over it in red so you can see. All right, so on December 12th, 2018, Tony Liggett received an email from law enforcement officer Greg Ferenczi. Remember, he is the one who is no longer with us. He had a mysterious unaliving himself. So it is a very informative email concerning Brad Holder's supposed alibi and the investigation into whether Holder dumped his old phone and received a new phone number, and also whether Holder sold his vehicle after 2/13/2017, which are signs of guilt, consciousness of guilt. So find attached a copy of this email marked as Exhibit 48. The very last paragraph discusses a ceremony that Holder videotaped in Fort Wayne in 2016. Ferenczi left a Facebook link so that Liggett could watch the ceremony. This video was not turned over to the defense until the defense made the specific request for the video sometime in August 2023. This roughly 25-minute ceremony itself is odd. At the beginning of the video, Brad Holder is revealed as the person videotaping the ceremony. During the last few minutes of the video, when the presumed Odinists are dumping water at the base of the tree, you see a man that appears to be Patrick Westphal enter the scene. Once he is at the scene, you can see this person use his hand to what looks like mark the tree. Unfortunately, the viewer cannot see with what word, letter, or symbol, if any, this person resembling Patrick Westphal is marking the tree. So the marking appears to occur at a similar height from the base of the tree as the marking of the tree where Libby's red DNA was found. So Ferenczi sent a link of this video directly to Liggett. The video seems to show Westfall marking a tree in a similar manner in which the F tree was marked with Libby's red DNA at the crime scene. Even Ferenczi commented on Westfall marking the tree in the email. Yet Liggett either intentionally or recklessly disregarded this evidence, potentially linking both Holder and Westfall to the crime scene. Liggett, are you an Odinite? Like, what's up, dude? Like, why none of this information that is about Brad Holder is getting to anyone else? And it seems like Unified Command has control over the narrative. F rune. The F rune formed with sticks on the ground resembles F rune found on the tree in Libby's red DNA. Attached to this memorandum is a photo provided to the defense in discovery from Brad Holder's Facebook. The photo shows an F that Holder made from sticks from a tree. This image is marked as Exhibit 50. The defense took that image and placed it side by side with the F made from Libby's red DNA at the crime scene and marked that side by side photograph as Exhibit 51. Again, these exhibits display yet another example of Holder's posting to Facebook images that mimic information from the crime scene unavailable to the public in two ways. One, the sticks are used like the runes on the girls, and two, the F rune is used as the F rune used and painted on the tree. This is all too much to be coincidence in my opinion, but it's usually like the answer that's right in front of you. You know, the simplest answer is the answer oftentimes. All right, so the meme that Brad Holder posted on 2/17/17, 3 days after the girls are found unalived, which discussed how real friends will help you move unalive bodies and then the friends will keep their mouths shut. This meme was deleted at some point in time, but still recovered by law enforcement. Interesting. Criminals be dumb. That's my slogan for criminals, because the things that they get caught on, they're just so stupid. All right, Exhibit 52 is a meme that investigators found that had been erased from Brad Holder's Facebook page. The image was obtained through discovery. The meme shows a still shot from a scene from the movie Goodfellas, in which the main characters are moving an unalive body from one place to another. Billy Bat's body had been in one location, but later it was moved. The meme says, "Your, quote, real ones don't judge you or ask a bunch of questions." Image of the Goodfellas moving the body. They help you move the body. Excuse me. They help you move the body and they never ask of it or speak of it again. So that was his meme. And how many days was it? It was just a couple days. Doesn't say. It did say. Where does it say? Oh, so he posted it on the 17th of February, the same year. So just a few days, 3 days after the girls. 3 days after the girls were found, he posted something very... Well, I mean, it's a meme, it's a joke, but it just... If you had just committed a crime 3 days earlier, you probably shouldn't be posting memes like that, but what do I know? So 3 days after Brad's son's girlfriend was found unalived, the girls' bodies were moved at the crime scene from one location where they were unalived or undid to a different location at a crime scene where they were found on February 14th. Again, that goes with my theory that they possibly were taken to Patrick Westfall's house or somewhere nearby and held somewhere until they were able to do this ritual with all their Odinite friends. And I really do think that it was like you know, by midnight or, 3 in the morning or whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my mic. Whenever all the Odinites gathered, and they probably did it at a specific time, they did this ritual. I'm thinking that might be what happened, potentially. Which would make sense then that they were moved. So they were ended in one spot and then their bodies were staged in another. And the clothing, remember we talked about the clothing, and there was like no dirt on the clothing that Abby was wearing, that happened to be like somebody would have had to have lifted Abby up and put all that clothing on her, and somebody, so explaining that it could have been, it had to have been more than one person. It couldn't be just Richard Allen. So Tobe Lesenby and Tony Liggett in private know that it took many men to accomplish all the tasks needed for that crime scene to exist the way it existed when the bodies were found. So all this information coming into Unified Command about Brad Holder and his buddies and all this stuff that's going on, yet they're not looking into Brad, and they have all this evidence to basically say that it's more than one person. It's not just two people. It's probably multiple people, like a group of people that did it. Timing is certainly curious for a man who should have been mourning the brutal unaliving of his son's girlfriend. A meme about moving bodies should create curiosity with law enforcement, especially when considering all the other evidence that links Holder to the crime scene. So why did Holder erase that meme? Was this meme a quick shout out to Brad Holder's Odinite buddies, thanking them for helping him with the bodies? And they had to move them, so they were moved. If we are being told the correct information, that it seems like they were unalived somewhere else and then their bodies were staged somewhere else. So for him to post that 3 days later is very curious. Did this meme reveal the brazenness and overconfidence that Holder had concerning the belief that he would get away with the unalivings? These are questions that could have been posed to Holder in an aggressive interrogation. However, for Liggett and the rest of the Unified Command, the meme was just nothing to see here. 2 a.m. Facebook post 12 hours after the girls go missing that says his testosterone is through the roof. This post later deleted as well. So although Brad Holder told police that he went from work straight to the gym to work out in Logansport in the afternoon, here is Brad Holder at 2 a.m. purportedly at a fitness center proclaiming that his energy and testosterone is through the roof right now. Find attached that Facebook... See, I'm telling you, it was done in the morning because 2 a.m. It was done at like midnight or full moon midnight. I don't know. It had to have... There was some symbolism of the time that it was done. And then... yeah, I don't know. I think so. If it's this ritualistic, they would have a specific time when they want to do it too. Find attached that Facebook post marked Exhibit 53. Why was his testosterone so high? Why was his energy level so high? Why did he claim to go to the gym at 2 a.m. when he also claims that he had been to the gym only a few hours earlier? Why was he at the gym when he was supposed to be at work in a couple of hours? Did he go to work the next day? Why did he delete the Facebook post? Why would he be saying these things when his son is purportedly upset about his girlfriend being missing, as the girls had not yet been found when Holder posted the message on Facebook? Law enforcement officers, to our knowledge, never asked any of these questions in an aggressive interrogation of Holder, which I would like to know the answers to all of those. Perhaps they did at the recent September 4th, 2023 interview. We will see if they ever turn it over. In Greg Ferenczi's December 12th, 2018 email to Tony Liggett, Ferenczi had a few questions about Holder's deleted email. This includes questioning whether Holder's alibi about being at the gym should be further considered. Holder's purported alibi is discussed in a later section. And let's read one more, and then I'm going to end it. All right, so Brad Holder's Facebook page links him to Elvis Fields in Rushville, Indiana. Elvis has admitted to participating in the Un-Alivings and to now being part of a, quote, gang, even providing intimate details of the crime scene that only those participating in the Un-Alivings would know. Elvis followed Brad Holder on Facebook and even recreated Brad Holder's Facebook pages like a fanboy would. So it makes sense near the finish of this section, detailing some of the evidence that links Brad Holder to the Un-Alivings by supplying the court with certain Facebook posts by Brad Holder that were mimicked and even recreated by a man named Elvis Fields. This will show for a smooth transition to the next suspect on whom this memo will be focused, Elvis Fields. All right, so with that, I'm going to stop. I will stop right there. I should have stopped. Anyways, so that's good. We'll pick it up with Elvis Fields next time. He's an interesting character. We know he's got some interesting things that he says to law enforcement that make you wonder, make you kind of suspect him. So we'll get to that in part 6. I'm really glad that you were able to join me here for part 5. I hope you like the page, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and join in the conversation. Please, let me know your thoughts and your feelings on this memo. Is it crazy? Is it wild? Is it just enough to make you really start to question things, question your reality? I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below. I love to hear from you and hear your opinions nicely and respectfully. And we're all adults here. We can be kind and respectfully disagree with one another. So, with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time and have a great day. Bye.